Well, hello, and a very warm welcome back to the TNC Podcast, a slightly later edition in the week. Chris has been on warm weather training. We've had an interview, well, we haven't. BBC Radio Norfolk has had an interview with Norwich City's majority shareholder, Mark Attanasio. And of course, it wouldn't be a TNC Podcast without reflecting on a Norwich City defeat last weekend. We might actually skirt over that because it was so long ago. How are you?
Yeah, all right, mate.
Good holiday?
Yeah, good, thank you, by the way. Oh, I've got some news for you.
Have you? Good news?
I future-proofed TNC because Norwich City, as well, they've been looking to sign a winger.
Yes.
They need someone that can...
Lewis Dobbin.
They need someone that can dribble.
Yeah.
So I thought, I've got just the answer. And I've decided to sign Baby Reeve.
Well done,
G
mate.
2026.
That's very exciting news.
Have a look at that, mate.
I thought when you first held it up, it was Wes's old kit.
Yeah,
that's a cracking baby grow.
I reckon Wesley could probably fit in that. To be
So you haven't just bought a baby grow, you are expecting a child, which is incredibly exciting.
Yes.
You're going to be busy.
I know.
Thank you.
Norwich City, BBC Radio Norfolk. I mean, I don't know how I'm going to work it.
It's good that you're already sleep deprived, so there's not going to be too much change.
Exactly. Yeah.
And maybe the wailing of a baby might be quite a necessary sound for how Norwich is performing at the moment.
Yeah, booing in the stadium or wailing for a baby, it kind of levels out, doesn't it? No, but thank you, mate.
Well done.
Very well done.
Well done.
Well done. Well done.
There you go. Well, that's really exciting.
But yeah, lovely time.
All downhill from here.
Yeah, lovely time in Portugal. Just couldn't take it, mate.
I
just couldn't take talking about this on Monday, so I just had to book a holiday.
Well, that's the thing. I was penciling it in, and you said, no, I'm in Portugal. I didn't know about that.
No, I know you didn't.
You escaped the country.
Yeah, I know you didn't.
And then you got me into Radio Norfolk. I had to cover you there as well. Rob was like, where's Chris?
I just had to run for a bit.
Well, it hasn't got any.
It's got that bad.
It hasn't got any better since you left.
I know. And by the way, I'll say congratulations to you on a different note. You're not having a baby, obviously.
No.
Or anything else. But I just want to say congrats to you because I've been tuning into the content recently, and I reckon that you've done a good job, mate.
Oh, thanks.
I do. I think.
Well, there's been a lot of it.
I disagree with you a lot of the time, as do a lot of people, as do they disagree with me too. But I think at the moment, it would be very easy to sit there and just sort of meander around, and you don't really say much. You dance in between things. You worry about relationships, but fair play to you, matey, because you've gone all in. So that's something that people can't criticise.
Well, look,
so
I mean,
done.
whether you think it's strong or don't think it's strong enough, we will always speak our minds.
I'm not sure you could speak much stronger than what you have.
That is true.
You've literally called for people's heads. I'm not sure you can be much stronger than that.
Look, I'd say it how I see it, and sometimes that works, and sometimes it doesn't. But I know where I stand.
Come on, then. Let's get this over and done with.
Do you want to discuss the Swansea defeat?
Do I want to? No. Do we have to? Yes.
I mean, let's look. I
mean, it was painful, wasn't it? I mean, it's another same story situation in terms of the result. I just can't believe how Manning just. We got it back to 1-1, right? I thought, oh, hello. You never know. This could be the turning of the tide. And then we came out for the second half with completely different tactics, seemingly. Took Makama off again, which I don't get. And because I think he's our best player at the moment. And then yet again, we did what we do best, which is lose football matches.
Well, look, we'll get on to the defensively in Manning from Mark Attanasio, because he was pretty strong in saying that he's got full faith in Liam Manning. Having watched Swansea, Derby, Bristol City, and actually it was interesting. Chris Gorham I thought has been pretty strong as Chris can go. Paddy Davitt, who is usually quite mellow, very strong, and actually I agree with everyone. It's hard. Well, it's impossible for me to defend Liam Manning. This is a really poorly coached team.
Yeah.
There is no other way around it.
Yes.
Not only is the structure confusing, players have regressed.
Yes.
I can't name a single player that's progressed. The likes of, I think Darling is actually looking quite shaky now, which is unbelievable. Sargent isn't getting any service.
Correct.
Kellen Fisher's nowhere to be seen, and he was excellent last season, which is a shame. So lots is going wrong, and again, there's this feeling of passiveness that I get from Liam Manning, and I think that is kind of infiltrating the team. The defending for both of the Swansea goals, who were excellently finished by Vopotnik on both occasions, but still, the defending, the desire, and I keep harping back to that comment. He said, "Well, we're too nice." Well, Liam, who's making us too nice?
This is what
it's
I said.
you.
I know. This is what I said last week. I'm pretty sure I've said it before as well. Like, you talk of us being too nice. I think it's because he's too nice. Yeah. And I'll say this phrase a lot on this podcast, I think, because I think it relates to off the pitch matters as well. But certainly with on the pitch, a fish rots from the head down. And as the leader, you are accountable and responsible for your merry men. There's only, of course, the players take responsibility, accountability. Of course they do for their own behaviours and actions. Sorry to use that word. But Liam's responsible for, if your team to us, and we know that this is a fundamental thing that's missing. We know the mentality is on its arse, because previously in podcasts towards the start of the season, we were complimenting how resolute they were in defence, the last ditch defending, the desire to make big tackles, big blocks.
It's true.
Now, essentially now we're giving them enough space that they could shoot from Morrison's car park and it's in the back of the net. It's true, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that fundamentally that's not just on the players, that is on the coach. So it's an extremely difficult. Look, we'll talk. We're going to probably go all over the place. We are going to talk about Mark's press conference. We've got to talk about Liam Manning. The Swansea game, it was another loss. And what more do you say? It's the same over and over again.
And that's the thing. That's the deeply frustrating thing for me. Bristol City, Derby, Swansea. I think we're going to see something similar against Hull.
Yeah.
And I've got a horrible feeling we lose to Sheffield Wednesday. It's the inevitability of it all.
Yes.
It's the patterns. It's the, start slowly, huff and puff back into it, find a way back, make some good changes, and then just murder all progress at half time. I don't know what is being said in that dressing room. And then 45 minutes to 60, they take the lead and we can't get back into it. It is every single week. Yeah. And for me to be able to try and, flip some positivity and say it's going to change, you need something to cling on to.
Yeah,
I don't have anything.
I agree.
I've absolutely nothing. And that's the big concern, because I look at the bottom three. Well, let me just look at the table now. Sheffield Wednesday are below us. Now, they're obviously buoyed by the Chanziri news. Look, I don't think they'll survive, but they're certainly going to be better than what they have been so far this season. And let's look at the rest of the teams down below. Sheffield United. Well, they're not going to be down there for the rest of the season. Blackburn, yes, we've beaten. Southampton in 20th.
They'll be fine.
They're going to be strong. Oxford have shown that they can survive. The same as Portsmouth. Derby, we've lost to. Wrexham, we've lost to. And at that point, you're up to 15th. Well, we're 7 points away from that.
I can't defend anything. I can't accept anything. I can't fathom what we're going through. There's not a single safe person inside those four walls at Norwich City.
Pete the Kit Man.
Yeah, that's right.
He's safe.
Pete the Kit Man. He's doing a bloody good job. He is doing a bloody good job, by the way. But yeah, no, you say these things. We're like a broken record at this point.
And I said it on my review after the Swansea game. Look, I went to watch Wrexham, which I thoroughly enjoyed. Love being back at a non-league ground. And the sad thing for me was I saw, well, not the sad thing, because it was lovely. I saw loads of familiar faces, loads of Norwich fans who were actually meant to be at the Liberty but decided to scrap it off because they didn't want to put themselves through it. There's a picture to be painted there. Mm-hmm. But I was kind of stood with some other Norwich fans, and we were obviously following the game. A couple of them were listening to it. Makama scores, and we're like, so we're still going to lose. That is such a sad reaction.
Yeah.
I should be buzzing that Big Mac has just scored, right?
Yeah.
And actually, I walked into the clubhouse there and saw the brilliant Simon Thomas on and he looked sad announcing the goal because he knows that we're doomed as well. So, look, I can't see this changing. And
I've been thinking about this, Jack. When I've been on my sunbed in Portugal, I was thinking, right, now I've got some space to think. Is there actually a small slither of crazy story here that there's a world in which that Liam Manning turns this around.
You were thinking about this on the
I was
sunbed.
flicking through these pages of hope, and I was thinking, right? Nothing. There is nothing. And honestly, if we are sat here, Jack, come Christmas time, and we are not in and around the relegation zone, I think it will be the most crazy success story.
It'll be a Christmas miracle.
It will be a Christmas miracle because of all of the trends, all of the data, what we're seeing. Us fans aren't idiots. We can see how this is going, but we can also see where this is going because unlike people at the football club, we have felt the pain of this before. We know the feeling of this because we've experienced this before. It was horrific. It was awful when it happened before when we went down to League One, and this feels exactly the same because, and I think we're going to probably call this podcast, something around crisis. This is a crisis for this football club, and I've seen fans of other clubs go, I see you're organising protests because you've lost a few games. Obviously, they don't understand the off the field matters, just how many there are, Jack. The on the field matters, just how many there are. There are so many problems, and when you have that cocktail, it is a massive clusterfuck. And I have no idea where to begin because it all kind of merges into one.
I agree, and I think I remember so vividly. It was this similar time this time last year. I was sat in the Murderers pub with a few of my friends who were Luton fans, and we were about to play Luton. We battered them that day. I can't remember. Don't know if you remember. And they all said to me, "We're going down." And I said, as in Luton are going down. I went, "No chance. Absolutely no chance.
Come on,
You're
yeah.
Luton. You're in the Premier League. You're well drilled." They did go down. And that has stuck so clearly in my mind because I know that there will be fans of other clubs looking at us going, Norwich, you'll be fine. You're meant to be up. It can happen and it can creep up on you.
And I wonder if that's what Mark thinks.
And I think that, your point around that last relegation, it was horrible. It was grim. But that squad was far less expensive than this current one. So I'm not saying it was more expected, but...
And football was different back then.
Football was very different. And what happened post that? Well, you had a shake-up. David McNally came in. Paul Lambert came in. They were characters. Love them or loathe them. Mm-hmm. They had the ability to change cultures.
Yes.
And I just worry that with Napa, with Webber, even with Manning, we've not got those characters.
Yeah, I agree with you, Jack.
I feel like a few of them have kind of swallowed a self-help book and are coming out talking about behaviours and processes. This isn't the time, guys, for this. Right? This isn't the time to look at your processes and look at your org structure. No, we need to fucking fight and we need to dig in and we need someone to rally this group. And I don't know if we have that.
Yeah. And I think we're about to go on to maybe Mark's press comments, Jack.
Well, I think we should.
But I think the thing that I would observe from the outside looking in, and it links back to Liam's comments of it's too nice. Even the way like Mark, which again we will speak about, Mark's response to a lot of the questions was, well, that's for Ben, or that's accountable with Ben, or Ben can answer, or Ben should speak to you about that, or Ben can speak about this, and da 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 da. So everyone's kind of passing the buck to each other, if you like, because Liam is blaming the play, apart from the players, because the players, from what we've been told,
well, and what Kenny said,
it's out there that the players are blaming themselves. So at least some of them we're being told, but apart from that, everyone seems to be just quite happy to just say, "Oh no, that's on her, that's on him, that's on them." Committee groups, working groups that don't actually do anything, just talk and talk and talk, and nothing happens because it's like turning the Titanic. Do you know the one thing I thought I'd never say on this podcast? One of the traits that I think this club now misses is someone with a bit of cutthroat nature about them. And that was what we had with David McNally here.
Yeah.
And a lot of fans will go, "Whoa, what?" And, he obviously had the name McNasty. And I remember a couple of... I'll be a bit careful here, but I remember a couple of situations in the office where...
Well, context, you used to work at
Yeah.
the club. When you say office, he wasn't just rocking up to your house.
Yeah.
Well, that would have been good content.
Yeah, I remember a couple of moments where, and I won't go deeper than this, but I'll just say the office paused because they couldn't not pause to look at what he was saying, or we stopped because of what was said. And I'm not saying that's a healthy culture to be led, but to be, lead by fear. I would never say that. But there's an element of this, again, it's all too nice. And you need someone there that's going to be actually, do you know what? No, not good enough for this football club. No, not good enough. And even with Mark at the moment, it almost feels like, and you said off air something interesting, which hopefully you'll bring up in a minute about, the way he's played this, Jack. But I do fear that even with Mark, it's already that time to be cutthroat, and he's not being cutthroat.
Yeah, I mean the joy of McNally and Webber and those before him is like it. Often with those types of characters, it ends in flames, and I remember vividly that McNally.
But look where they both got.
But what I'm saying is, I think with McNally, he was there was a bit of an argy-bargy at the director's entrance post-match. Then he went onto Twitter, didn't he?
Yeah.
Sank a couple of bottles of wine and just replied to a fan like, "Well, I quit," and he did. And with Webber again, interesting, intriguing, at times brilliant character, but that kind of ended in flames. So. There's not a perfect solution, but at this point in time, you do want a bit of that carnage and a bit of that chaos to just shake things up. I want to shake Napa by the fucking shirt and just go, "Come on, mate, give me something. Show me a bit of. I don't want to hear about behaviours and processes."
So speaking of that, one of the outcomes from the Mark Attanasio press.
Well, so yeah, I think it's good to have you back on TNC, because you were obviously a part of that show on Radio Norfolk. So talk us through, because I think it's interesting for me as well. Talk us through how that show first of all happened. When did you find out that they were travelling?
Yeah.
How did it go down?
Cool, you're testing my memory now. Well, first of all, just to finish my last point, linked to Napa, I think one of my instant feelings, reactions, as soon as we went off air, was this now all steers towards Ben Napa. It puts a lot. I mean, obviously he was under pressure anyway, but there was lots of things that Mark was saying, like referencing Ben, and I think there was even a moment where he said, "Oh, Ben will speak to you about that."
Well, yeah, let's hear from him.
But Rob Butler has been requesting Ben, and that request has not been granted. So that's one of those situations. So I think I would love to hear Ben Napa speak now. Don't get me wrong, I can see it from the club's perspective. What is he going to say? Because ultimately, if it's not, I need to get rid of Liam Manning, then fans aren't going to be happy. I get that. But like Mark, face the music. Face the music, because whether you agreed or disagreed with his answers last night, at least he had some kahunas and he was able to face the music.
And actually, Chris, even if you don't say anything, which I don't think, Mark Attanasio didn't, other than the stadium, development kind of being paused, there was nothing new in that. But it's sometimes soothing to just hear someone speak.
Yeah.
And that can actually fix a lot.
But you can hear that you can personally, I could feel that he was more with us than we had originally realised.
So let's go back to
For sure.
original question.
Sorry.
How did this come about? When did you find out? What was the process?
Relatively-ish last minute. In terms of timescales, in terms of turnaround. Rob obviously let me know last minute, because he found out last minute as well that it was happening. And I think that's an important point. I don't for one believe at all that this was a pre-planned visit. And I could tell by Mark's answers, sorry to go on tangents again, I could tell by Mark's answers that this wasn't a pre-planned visit. And I think the way in which it happened, I thought that was telling. So I thought that's important to say, because it's gone out there somehow that, this was always going to happen, this visit. Don't believe that. I really don't.
Because he landed on late Monday, did he, or Tuesday?
Not 100% certain.
I think he landed late Monday, had Tuesday at the football club, Wednesday at the football club,
right.
and now he's gone. So it was a 48-hour visit.
So a fleeting visit like that is interesting. But yeah, obviously then you start planning, and I must say at this stage, very much.
Yeah, the work starts and you piss off to Portugal.
No, because I was actually in Portugal. That was how last minute it was.
Right.
I was already there when it was all kind of when the wheels were in motion. I want people to know I didn't play a huge part. It was very much Rob Butler and Phil Day that led the charge. But Rob just said to me, "Look, Chris, it's so important that we try and field as many of the most important topics as possible in it's only
an hour, yeah.
Well, slightly less than an hour even. So that was really difficult to do. But I felt that Rob and Phil did a great job of covering as many bases as possible, challenging as much as they can. People always forget with challenge that ultimately, at any point, Mark could have walked out of that interview. He could have walked out the studio, as players could do with us, as Zoe could have done with us. So that's something to be aware of. But
it's difficult, isn't it? Because the good journalists get their subject interview to feel comfortable enough to open up and press them.
Correct.
And that's a really difficult balance, especially when you looking them in the eye. Yeah. That's really tough to do.
But I felt that Rob and Phil did a great job with the callers. I thought the callers were on fire. The Bridget, as she's known.
Blimey, yeah.
The Bridget, for those of you, if you don't know the Bridget now, you blooming should. Is a absolutely fanatical Norwich City supporter that certainly doesn't suffer fools gladly, and she's more than happy to give it to the board. She did. So she was a fantastic caller. But in terms of the feeling behind the scenes, Jack, which I think is probably more interesting for people, is it felt really important from even beforehand when Mark and his entourage, if you like, were not the Americans, but Dan the media guy and a couple of Daniel, a couple of the heavies. This felt important.
A couple of the heavies.
Yeah, because he had a couple of security guards with him.
Did he?
Yeah. He had I don't know if I should say it, but yeah, he had a couple of security guards with him. Which, by the way, tells you a story, which is fair enough. I'm not sure I should have said that, but never mind, it's out there now.
No, I like it. Why did we not get security guards when we walk around?
Yeah, we probably
should.
You
get more hate than Mark Attanasio.
We probably should.
We can't afford them.
It felt, though, like everyone was really focused. Everyone was, certainly in terms of the BBC Radio Norfolk camp, we were really fired up to, really challenge, give him the hard questions. And obviously, it's BBC policy, and, we said it before the show, we said it, after the show, during the show. None of the questions were given to Mark in advance. He obviously would have known,
of course,
the questions that were going to come his way. But yeah, I felt that we gave it to him, and it was an important piece of media. I'm really pleased he did it.
Well, it was kind of his. I know that all media request to talk with these characters, and often that the answer is no, but it was kind of Mark's decision, right? And the club's decision to do this. And they didn't have to do it. And I think that's telling that he chose to. And Ben and Zoe maybe haven't.
Absolutely. Yeah. And any of them can make it happen any time. And our invite is always there to... And fair play. Zoe's obviously been on this podcast. Our offer is always open to Ben Napper to do what Stuart Webber did and come on this podcast as well. I think it's incredibly powerful to talk when the sun isn't shining, as did Mark last night.
Yeah, I filmed a video, fairly straight after the recording. First of all, well done. I thought it was really good, and I really like Mark Attanasio, and that might be a somewhat unpopular thing to say. I think there's...
You're allowed to like someone, but disagree with their actions, or you can still like them as a person, Jack.
Absolutely, and
it's like Liam Manning. We like Liam Manning.
I almost don't, but this is I feel like I can see what's happening.
Come on.
And I feel like I almost don't disagree with some of the things that he's saying. So he's publicly backed Liam Manning, pretty much. He definitely didn't back Ben Napper and Zoe Webber. And I get the sense that, look, he comes from a different culture. He's in the venture capital world, right? He is looking after 1,000 companies in his portfolio. So he can't micromanage every decision.
Yes, correct.
He has to build management teams that look after his different entities and put full trust in them.
Yes.
And the joy of his work and the fact that he's been successful over a 35-year period alongside Richard Resley, who I think is also an important character in this that I know not many people have heard from, but he's incredibly intelligent and he's going to be looking at this with intrigue as well. Attanasio was never going to come in here and be rash and change things. He sees this as a long-term play. We have to get realistic. The ambition here is to grow Norwich City as a club and eventually sell it on for profit. That's what he does, and that's what they will be looking to do. And he certainly won't be able to do that if Norwich are in League One. So this isn't the end play. But we might drop into League One, but he sees this as a longer-term plan. My gut feeling, is that he is almost putting full trust in Napa, full trust in Webber, but with the knowledge that this isn't going right. And he wants to almost, for them, to publicly kind of humiliate themselves through decision making, to then go, I gave you a chance, I gave you my backing, you wanted Ante Cianat for £8 million, I gave you the 8 million, it's not working, we need to move on. He knows that his intelligence isn't in football, but he can build teams. He can build institutions. Okay. I think it will go on for a bit longer.
Okay.
I think it will get worse.
Well, of course.
But I think he's not a mug. So he's not a fool.
So then, in which case, then, Jack, do you think then that this recent visit could have almost been a disguised final warning, perhaps? I mean, we don't know the conversations behind the scenes, but if the big boss comes into your office, you know there's a problem.
I think it's exactly that.
Because he said in the interview, I'm not used to being so hands-on, essentially, didn't he?
And he won't want to be here.
Of course.
I feel like I know exactly what this is. This is him going into the office of Ben Napper and going, I'm watching you.
Do you think that's... Yeah.
I think it's exactly that.
Yeah.
I think it's exactly that.
I think that's how it feels. And he might not have said that.
And I like that from Attanasio because he's gone, you've got one more chance.
Do you think that, yeah?
You've got one more chance.
I'm
watching you, and I'm watching you, and this hasn't been good enough. And I tell you the other telling thing.
Go on.
He clearly doesn't have trust in some of those individuals because Zoe Webber, Anthony Richards basically came out a couple of weeks ago and said, these are the stadium redevelopment plans, this is happening.
Yeah.
Mark's flown over and gone, what are you doing? Obviously not.
Before we
Pause.
And before we talk about the stadium development plans, because we have to talk about that next, I thought, linked to your point about trust in Ben, the way in which Mark responded to my question about Nunes was really interesting. Really interesting. Because essentially, the way in which he responded to it was...
But what was your question, first of all?
Well, my question was around... what was Nunes? I think I said something like...
Was it an own goal?
Would you agree now that the Nunes sale to our arch enemy was a huge PR own goal or something like that? Well, first of all, of course, there was a self-depreciating joke about the fact that he didn't know what an own goal was and probably laughed a little bit too much at that, which was a shame, actually, because obviously it made him look like he wasn't taking it seriously. Trust me, guys, he's taking this extremely seriously. But then he said something along the lines of him entrusting those in his team, right? Which was, well, I entrusted Ben with Liam with this. They said it was the right thing to do. Look what happened.
Yeah.
And look, maybe, people say, he was washing his hands of it. Of course he was involved in it. And of course he is ultimately accountable for it. But Mark is entrusting. So that leads into your theory, Jack, about, almost, giving people so much opportunity that when he does make that call, there'll be it.
And I like that style of management. I like the ability to go to... Because...
But he might be leaving it too late, Jack.
That is the concern.
So you're saying you like it. I think it's a dangerous move. I think at the moment, he's... obviously he talks a lot about, the Milwaukee Brewers and venture capital and, finance. I get that. And he spoke about, this has been a bad quarter. I think he used it, for example. This has been a bad quarter. But Liam could change it in the next quarter and da-da-da-da-da. I'm concerned that eventually, I hope I'm wrong, I think it's inevitable that eventually Mark is going to have to make those big decisions on Liam and maybe Ben because of results.
He will. And I think that was my only frustration with that whole chat was there was too much chat about Milwaukee Brewers, right? We are talking about yes, there is a umbrella that they are two sports in baseball and football. You couldn't get two different sporting institutions. And you couldn't, the final caller, the American lad, was brilliant. Because he laid it out. He said it's completely different. If you're a fan of the Milwaukee Brewers and you have a bad season, you might just go and support another franchise.
Yeah,
that happens
because Americans
and you can't. There's no relegation. Right? There's no crisis on it.
But with the Milwaukee Brewers, which I thought was an interesting point, is the sheer amount of money involved in that. In terms of the players, and so that's. But I get your point. It was too much.
But I thought.
Can we talk about the stadium redevelopment plans?
One quick moment on Marcelino Nunes, and I thought this was telling. When he basically said, he was like, he didn't quite put it as brash as this, but it was like, what's £7.5 million to me and Richard? We manage £1 billion worth of assets.
But yeah.
So which is like, we didn't need to sell it.
So then why did we do it? Yeah.
Why did we do it?
But he also did say, essentially as well, that he would have just put him in the 21s because that's what he said about Johnny Rowe, but you can't do it.
Why can't you?
No, because I told you this before.
I don't care.
No,
break the law. Let's be nasty about it. You're being too nice.
Let's break the law.
Stadium redevelopment.
So look, I think so. Look, the headline from it was, we're pressing pause on the River End shit show, and fair play. It was the right decision. It is not a good look for those involved in it.
And I suspect the poor person who spent 2.5 years with Norwich City Council doing the planning has just gone, oh, that was a waste of time.
Yeah, 100%. But it was the right decision. It also shows, again, Jack, that Mark has entrusted people at the club to work on these projects, to bring these projects to the fore, to bring them to life, to action them. But the way in which we actioned the River End displacement, forced fan displacement, I might say, was absolutely abysmal, utterly abysmal. And Mark's come over and he's gone, nah, I think you've gone about it the wrong way. I mean, I said it, I think, last time on the pod, Jack, the fact that they just haven't even put out a very basic, they send a questionnaire. It actually pisses me off. They send a questionnaire to supporters after every game. How was your experience? I'll tell you what it was. Shit. Because we lost again, right? They send so many questionnaires.
Do they? I must have that blocked or something.
Yeah, well, maybe you have.
I really want to fill in a questionnaire post.
Oh, it really annoys me. But they didn't send a questionnaire about the stadium plans because they would get too many opinions. Nah. Do your job, guys. So Mark's gone, no, we're pausing it and we're going about it properly now. Fair play to Mark. Now, fans now listening and watching this will go, well, still going ahead. Yeah, agreed it is. But, and I think it is an important but to add, at least you now know that our ownership are not happy with those that have made the calls around this shit show. And at least you now know that the Americans are saying, we've listened to you, we've heard you, we know you're not happy with this. And that's the one thing that Mark will take away from his trip, by the way. One of the questions I fielded to him was, Ben Napper's pulling the wool over your eyes. His answer to that was interesting as well. I think that probably triggered him a little bit, but good. There's one thing that you know from his trip. He's heard from fans just how much of a crisis this club is in. I think I can't, and I'll try to, in fact, no, I can't say that. Trust me, he knows how bad this is. He knows how much of a troubled situation this club is currently in. And now, look, he's done the talking, and I predict he's going to have to do some big action soon.
Because ultimately, as well, we you know, this is an embarrassing situation for Mark.
Hugely
because his fellow colleagues out in the States are going.
He's having a sherry with old John Henry in I don't know, Texas or something.
Yeah,
and John's like pissing his pants.
Yeah, he's going, do you know what you're doing?
What are you doing? Yeah.
Well, I didn't even know there was a League One.
So obviously, and Americans are hugely competitive. So he will be very embarrassed with this situation.
So this and that again gives me faith that this will change.
Yeah.
And look, Mark will be hoping that all of this changes with the current regime, but we know it's not going to happen. And even if it does change short term, it's not going to long term. I think the key point I want to get out with this stadium redevelopment stuff, because it's all gone very one way. Some of the parts of that redevelopment are absolutely necessary to do. You go to the river end, you can't even have a piss, let alone get a pint, because it's so shit, right?
Yeah, I think that's fair. Yeah.
And I went for the Bristol Rovers game last year or the year before. You couldn't get a drink, and there was about 14,000 people in the stadium, right? And after that first half against Bristol Rovers, I needed a drink. So parts of it, need to be done, and we're quite happy down in the Lion and Castle because it's nice and warm in the winter, and you can get a pint.
We're very
and you can watch the
fortunate
telly,
in our
right?
end.
So I want everyone to experience that. The way they went about it was horrific.
Correct.
They'll do very well to fill corporate seating if we go down.
Well, they won't fill it if we go down.
They won't fill it. They might be giving away sort of 25% off tickets and stuff again, and maybe chuck a free pie your way. So, look, it's going to happen. I'm glad that Mark has gone, this isn't right. We need to put a stop to this. We need to take these fans on a journey. He's been through it. He's not thick, right?
Yeah.
So I think that was a positive.
Yeah. He is with us. That's what I would say to Norwich fans to it's only my word, right? You take my word or not, but I really feel that he is with us, that he's not detached. Don't get me wrong, you could say he's been naive so far. I think after this trip...
I think that's absolutely fair to say that.
Yeah, but I think after this most recent trip, the line in the sand on naivety is... I'll be so surprised if he's naive after this trip, given all of the stuff he's learned, the conversations he's had, the calls that he's fielded on Canary Call. He, as you say, Jack, he's not thick. I think people forget this bloke is absolutely stacked in cash.
And
he's caked in cash.
And he's done that through very intelligent work.
He's not dumb. So he is going to sort this out. And he has said that one of the lines was that it's a challenge now, but relegation is not an option.
And that was intriguing because...
So that means he's going to have to make a decision. He's going to have to.
And I think he also said, I can't remember the exact quote, but he basically said, they're willing to spend big to make sure that relegation doesn't happen. Well, he's not going to trust Ben Napper with his money.
Yeah.
I hope he isn't.
Well, I think he's going to once more. But remember, Jack,
do you?
People are talking about, he's wasted, £50 million, whatever. But again, we're talking about in terms of their level of wealth, to them, that's an okay. It's not. It's obviously a big amount of money, but to them, it's not. For Norwich City, we're like, wow, we've never ever done this ever in the history of time, right? But for them, they're like, that's a decent start. And you have to think about the red and the green as well because of player sales, and the net spend, which someone brilliantly put to him as well. Should we get on to the questions?
Yeah,
Jack?
I think we should.
But before that, we must say, hashtag of this podcast, for those of you that are listening, we want to see it all over social media. I'll share all of them as a thanks for your support. Hashtag club in crisis. Oh, God. That's what I want to see.
That's a bit dark, isn't it?
No, I want to see it because I don't want, and I don't think people, I don't think people would say, people need to know this club is in crisis. We are warning the people involved in this football club, right? Do something now before it's too late. Hashtag club in crisis.
Which is a nice segment to Craig Thompson, who says, question, are Norwich now a club in crisis, both on and off the pitch? Well, I think you've answered that question, Chris.
You can't deny that Norwich are a club in crisis on and off the pitch, can you, Jack? The stadium redevelopment shenanigans, how that went about, even maybe a smaller situation, but a telling situation. Shane Duffy's comments on social media recently.
Oh, yeah, obviously.
One of those things.
No, we're going to be fine. That was the miracle, wasn't it? Shane Duffy's return. I forgot.
We'll talk about that, Jack.
It's going to be absolutely fine.
But of course we're a club in crisis on and off the pitch. There are so many problems, Jack. I don't know where to begin. And the problem is, because of the leadership, I don't really know who's actually going to grab this by the scruff of the neck and sort it out. But would you disagree that do you think we're overreacting here?
No.
Is the club in a crisis on and off the pitch?
Yes, it is. Absolutely. And I think there are fixes. This isn't, everything's fixable. the saving grace here is we've got an owner that cares and has deep pockets.
Correct.
Big tick in the box.
Yeah.
So things can change. What I would also say is it's not amusing because it's sad for all the other fans. You look at, in the Premier League, West Ham, you look at the Championship, Southampton, Sheffield United, Sheffield Wednesday. They all think they're in crisis as well, and they probably are. So this isn't a unique situation, and when you're in this moment, you feel like you're never going to get out of it. We've been here before. We'll be here again. We've got highs around the corner as well. Mark Attanasio, I am positive, knows what he's doing. He's been naive so far. He hasn't acted quick enough so far. But he needs to learn that himself. He can't be told that. You need to go through that pain. You need to go through that pain of trusting the wrong people. He will be figuring it out. Yeah. He will change
Kiss a few frogs, so to speak.
He will spend money. And I hope... And it might not be instantly. And as I say, I think it's going to get worse before it gets better. But I think there is hope. But things do need to change.
Yeah, no, I do agree with that. Jack, the next contribution is from George Hale.
Hello, George.
Hello, George. He says, statement. I think at this rate, Duffy and Darling might be the way to go. We're also lacking so much control and diversity in that midfield. So look, let's take the main name out of that. It's Duffy o'clock, Jack. And last week, there was the social media moments, which were, quite remarkable, really.
I mean, you can tell that Shane Duffy has headed the ball a lot because there's not a lot going on in that brain, is there? I mean, it was completely incoherent. It was kind of playground bullying. It was embarrassing.
And now this week, he is, and Mark hinted at it on Canary Call. He's going to be in the starting line.
Well, I mean, the whole Duffy thing is embarrassing, right? Let's start.
But could he solve our defensive disasters?
No. Let's. For half of last season, he was good.
Yeah.
And then he chucked in the towel and basically cost Johannes' job along with a few others. I mean, his off-pitch antics, read into as you will. Doesn't make me particularly proud of Norwich City that they've kind of, skirted around that. But once again, the big point here for me, nothing's joining up here. In the summer, they're like, he's free to go.
Yeah.
And now he's the saviour.
And now the big dog is saying, there's a senior leader that's going to be back in the squad.
And what do we call this? I've got a theory around this.
Come on.
It's Kyle Lafferty syndrome. We have got Kyle Lafferty syndrome. We are looking for the person that we've not seen in a long while, who, let's be honest, isn't going to save everything, who's going to be the saviour. It's embarrassing.
Look, to balance this out, right? I also am so disappointed with the off-the-pitch stuff.
It's embarrassing.
Of course, right? But do you know what? And we are at this point. There are so few leaders actual leaders on the pitch for Norwich City at the moment that I actually think the defence could do with Shane Duffy in the back again.
So what I would say,
because when he hadn't chucked, sorry to interrupt you, mate, before he, as did a lot of the players, chucked it with JHT, he looked pretty good at the back, right? So maybe. I know, but that's I know it's exhausting. I know it's frustrating, and I'm also thinking, blooming heck, are we really here? Yeah, we're really here. We need an experienced player at the back that's going to bully people. Whether you disagree with what he, how he acts off the pitch or not, whatever. But on the pitch, when he wants it, he's the kind of leading.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think his behaviour screams leader to me. I get where
the pitch.
I get where you're coming from.
Yeah.
I think for me, there's a couple of things here. It's once again a damning look at the recruitment. The fact you're putting Duffy in over Jakov Medic, over Rory McConville.
When you told him he was free to go. Rory McConville, by the way.
Well, players that you have signed to replace Shane Duffy are now, they must be in the eyes of Liam Manning not good enough, which is interesting. I think, I come back to that point about a character being able to shake things up just through sheer carnage. Shane Duffy is the type to be able to do that. I look back to Preston, basically swearing at the fans after he scored. Like, maybe a bit of that, of fucking carnage is actually not a bad thing.
Well, we've spoken about needing a bit of that character.
Yeah,
Chris,
everything, I go in a roundabout
So
way,
much,
and then I get to the final point, and I'm like, yeah, it's back to Napa.
Yeah.
It's mental.
Yeah, no, I agree. What about this from Dan Scales? I think this is a really interesting question, Jack. He says, having clearly told everyone top 6 was the aim, do the Attanasios undermine their own authority for the future if they fail to remove Napa and or Liam Manning?
Well, he will remove them at some point. He will remove Ben Napa at some point. I can't tell you when, but he will. He will.
Yeah, are you really you're putting your colours to the mast there, matey?
It might happen in 10 years, but it'll happen. Look, I'm not putting a time frame on it,
okay.
But you could read between the lines.
Do you feel like
Liam Manning? I'm less sure on. Liam Manning, I think he likes, and I think there's a belief within that football club. And look, I also don't think they want to get rid of someone that they've just brought in. I think they will want consistency in some part of the club.
So answer the question, Jack.
No, I don't think they're undermining their own authority. Look,
but what if we don't get top 6 and he keeps them?
But that's then a complete. If they're both here at the end of the season and whatever the outcome, yeah, I'll be lost for words at that point.
Really,
I'll be lost for words.
Look, Mark's come on BBC Radio Norfolk. He's done the talking, and now it's going to be about action. I think this is a really interesting point, Dan. I agree with what you're alluding to. I think Mark is going to realise probably over the. I'm talking a handful, so I'm saying max 5. I already think he would be well within his rights to make big changes now.
Well, you've got an international break coming up as well.
I think Ben and Liam, and by the way, not just Ben and Liam actually. I think most people at the football club are extremely lucky to be in the position that they're in, considering the absolute monumental failure that the start of the season has had, right? But I think I think also, I'm with you, Jack, it feels like there's an inevitability about this, that in the next handful of games, it's going to be this word, untenable. And then Mark will be educated quite quickly that this isn't baseball. There is higher turnover. League One is a disaster.
Yeah.
No one wants that. It's not sexy Hollywood, Tom Brady, Wrexham. It is not that. It is painfully shit. And it is a disaster for a football club like Norwich City to be anywhere near. So I think that he is probably going to have to make some big calls sooner than what he broadcasted on BBC Radio Norfolk.
Matt Johnson says, Mark said that what I saw on the practice pitch today was a team with a lot of cohesion. Yes, I get it, Mark. The club posts videos every Friday of Fisher and Medic spanking one into the top corner. Doesn't mean they're a goal-scoring machine on Saturday. Come on. Look, and by the way, Matt is fuming because he's tweeted us about 17 times. Matt, pleasure as always, mate. I think there is a naivety with Mark in terms of football, right? We get that. And I think it comes back, and there's a couple of brilliant questions that were sent in. And I know that his answers around, well, if you bring in a CEO, it basically makes the sporting director role redundant, because if you bring in a good CEO, they want power, they want autonomy. I get it. I'm not saying that we need a CEO, but we do need a neutral bridge over the Atlantic that is going to feed back from the board to Mark and from Mark to the board. You need that, because at the moment there's a lot of backslapping, there's a lot of lines into Mark going, it's the injuries, which is bollocks, right? It is.
I'm not sure the injuries yet. They will help, but will they fundamentally fix the mentality of this group? I can't see it.
I know what the excuse in the summer's got. If this, and sure to God it won't be, right? I know what the excuse in the summer is going to be.
Go on.
We couldn't recruit the players we wanted because it's a World Cup summer.
Oh, God.
That's what it'll be.
Do you think?
Absolutely. Excuses.
God.
Let's see some solutions.
Yeah.
All right?
Well, look, again, Mark and his group are going to have to put their money where their mouth is in January. The most difficult window to buy players, the most expensive window to buy players. This group need help. My prediction is that Mark Attanasio will recruit. He will push anyway. I think also other people at the club will. I think they've woken up to the fact that the model of going to, downtown Belarus and trying to find, a diamond is probably a bit bonkers. Like, don't get me wrong, if you can flip a bloke from downtown Belarus, fair play. Of course, you're going to get tremendous return on investment, but you're going to have to go for a Big Mac, a Jovan Makama, right? Who, by the way, I'm going to say again, I love Jovan Makama. He's exactly the type of player that Norwich City should be recruiting. And I'll say something. Mark Attanasio is a big Jovan Makama fan as well, right? So I think that is telling.
You have to be, because if you're not, he's just going to beat you up. So you're not going to say I'm not a Jovan Makama fan.
Yeah, he's such a big guy. I was like, yeah, he is. He's so young. You could tell that he really likes him. So I think we're going to have to sign players, and rightly so, from the English leagues.
Chris says, dilemma. Given the early kick-off and the end of the Great British Summertime, do I go to the game and watch the inevitable defeat, feeling the sadness of my club in turmoil, or do I do some much-needed gardening at home?
Gardening. And the fact that I've just said that says it all.
I think you'd probably see more movement from your potted plants than you would Yakov Medic.
Yeah. Well, some of our defenders have been turning like garden gnomes recently, haven't they? Yeah, look, by the way, there are so many questions. Come on, keep them coming.
Positive rave. Only 3 games until an international break.
Yeah, bring it on. Very much looking forward to that. There are so many questions. I don't even know where to begin. Have you got any more, Jack?
Yeah, Tyler says, rave, picture this. Next season, Norwich City are at Wembley and Tony Springer has just scored in the 97th minute against Northampton in the Virtu Trophy final. Right, okay, I'm going to... What was the name again, sorry? So the Virtu Trophy is the new Johnston's paint, isn't it?
Right. What was the name again?
That was from Tyler.
Tyler, thank you for your contribution, matey. One thing that we need to stamp out as a fan base right now, stop glamorising League One.
Yeah, but Tyler's glamorising the Johnston's paint trophy.
Stop glamorising League One. I'm making it a rule. Yeah? Like when we banned the words...
The T word.
The T word. I'm making you one. Stop glamorising League One. It is shit. It is so bad. It is so bad. Oh, it'll be more fun in League One. We can go on a League One tour. Oh, I'd love to go to Gillingham on a Wednesday night. No, you wouldn't. Don't talk out your backside. I don't want to see my team play in a garden shed. I want to see my team in an incredible stadium that's been designed by, I don't know, Norman Foster, not bloody Bob the Builder. Fuck League One. No, fuck League One. I honestly, I hate that. I just stop. Like, by the way, Tyler, I mega appreciate your contribution. You've triggered me there. It's linked to this, yeah? Oh, I prefer the Championship because you win more games. No, you don't. You want your team in the biggest, best league, playing the biggest and best, with the biggest and best players. You win more games in the Championship. How's that going for you? Because we're shit in this league as well. Imagine what it would be like in League One. I just stop glamorising League One, please.
Port Vale are in League One.
Oh, God, that felt good. Dylan Lees. That could be name of the week. Question. What will it take for Liam Manning to be sacked? Is it losing the next 3 to Hull? Sorry. Oh, God. Let me start again. Dylan Lees, question. What will it take for Liam Manning to be sacked? Is it losing the next 3 to Hull, Wednesday and Leicester, or when it's too late in the season to salvage? Those next 3 games, right? Hull. Ready? Hull. Let's play win, lose, or draw. Hull.
Lose.
Yeah. Wednesday.
Lose.
Leicester.
Lose.
We're going to
But do you want me to come out with something that...
I can't see us getting a draw in any of those games.
I can't see us getting a draw.
No, I can't. Hull, because Carrow Road is going to be so toxic on Saturday. Because of the protest, which, by the way...
Got your tennis ball?
Which, by the way, we should talk about out of fairness. There are all sorts of protests being planned, from tennis balls outside the stadium, sit-ins inside the stadium. And that is because fans have not felt that they've been listened to. So they have got to the point where they feel that they need to protest. And what I say to them is fair play. But anyway, answer the question. About sacking Liam Manning. Because when...
Do you want me to threaten me getting a right hook from you right now?
Oh, God. Don't talk about... Well, if it's about League One, then don't say it.
I think we're going to lose all 3.
Yes.
And I think he might still be here after that.
Mate, do you know what's going to send me west? Do you know what is going to send me west? Sheffield Wednesday away.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're going to lose to Hull. Of course we're going to lose to Hull. Mauled by the Tigers. Right? Wednesday, we've got the watch along. Yeah? We're doing a TNC watch along.
Yeah.
And they are galvanised, rejuvenated. They're a club that have obviously gone into administration, but they're all together and they'll beat us. We and eventually, I'll make a prediction. I think it won't be too long before Sheffield Wednesday have overtaken us. I don't seriously.
Mate.
I'm sorry. Give us something to open. I say it to players. I know some of the players watch this. Prove us wrong, please. I want to be positive. I want to be optimistic. Give us a bit of something to be positive about. Holy fuck. That I think that's the moment that's going to send me west. The realisation that we are knee deep in a relegation battle.
Oh, we're in quicksand and just about our nose is still above sand and we're breathing, but...
I think Mark is going to wait until... I've got this bad feeling he's going to wait as far until
Christmas.
January. Because in the January window, he'll be like, oh, it's okay, I'll bring in some players to solve the problem.
Do you know what? I think I agree.
Mate, but we'll be cut adrift, so far adrift by then.
We already are.
Yes.
We already are.
Rich Jones says, we're heading for League One and accelerating with no brakes. Thoughts? I don't think I've ever been as down as this, by the way, on a TNC podcast. It's bad, isn't it, Jack? Any more?
Well, look, I mean...
We need to talk on this podcast.
Yeah, no, I think we had a slight existential crisis, didn't we? Look, we... thanks to everyone for getting in touch with the questions. They all follow a very similar theme. I really hope, and I mean this, obviously I mean this.
Yeah.
I really hope we win on Saturday.
Of
Because
course.
There will be protests, there will be toxicity, there will be lots of people not there. Liam Manning is a good human, right? And I don't want to see anyone be subject to what he will be subjected to on Saturday.
He's going to be, yeah.
The only way to diffuse that is by winning football matches.
Of course, yeah.
And, you know, Daniel Farke was sacked after a win. So let's hope that we go on a few wins, we get the change we want to see, and we can pull out of this mess. And we look back in 3 years' time when we're preparing a trip to Kazakhstan in Europe, going, fucking, I remember when we were stressed about going down to League One, and now Attanasio's spunked 130 million quid after promotion to the Premier League, and we've got, you know, the next wonder kid from Albania up front from us, and, you know, we're doing a Sunderland. Yeah?
Wouldn't that be nice?
And we're, you know, arm in arm at Stamford Bridge, and you've got a little kid on your shoulders, you know? And we're dreaming of bigger and better things.
But to the players, you know, there's talk of, you know, the players being behind the gaffer. Prove it, because the performance at Swansea made it look like you weren't playing for the gaffer. It did look like that, lads. So prove it. Come out at home. You're you're really up against it on Saturday. Come out and show a bit of fight.
And also
show a bit of fight. Put in some tackles. Right, we're playing Hull, not Brazil. We're playing Hull. Okay, remember that.
And I think that's a key point, Chris. It is Hull, and everyone is acting like they are Brazil because they're, you know, in 8th. The top 6, Coventry, fair play, have been decent.
They've been amazing. Yeah.
Borough, Millwall,
they've been good.
Bristol City,
Solid.
Stoke, Charlton, shit. Right.
But if they are, what does that mean?
No, I know. This league is shit. It was shit last season. It was shit the season before. It'll be shit next season. And we still can't get out of it.
Come on, lads.
Thanks for watching. Look, we'll be there on Saturday. What I would say, make your voices heard, but please don't go past the point of indecency.
Yeah. I think I agree with that, Jack. Right? Obviously, I think it's important that fans show their frustration, their passion for their club. We'd rather passion than apathy, right? We've said this before. We also do have to balance that with the fact that these people are humans. These the players read, as we've learned with Shane Duffy, the players read everything that's put on social media, right? Criticise their performances, but try not to get too personal with it, right? Because
if you do, Shane Duffy will call you a knob again, and you don't want that. Chris, thanks very much. I'll see you at Carrow Road on Saturday. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.